Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. How's your business doing in productivity? Do you need help? Well, today we're having a discussion with the Jamaica Productivity Center, the organization that promotes and supports productivity improvement at the national, sectoral, industry, and enterprise levels. Our guest is Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Mrs. Nelson, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Enthros. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
We are happy to have you. Tell us, what is the role of the Jamaica Productivity Center and how it has helped in terms of improvements and efficiency to both private and public sector?
No problem. We are the national productivity organization in Jamaica and the oldest of its kind in the region. We are a tripartite organization comprised of the Ministry of the Government of Jamaica, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, and the Jamaica Employers Federation. And we have the mission of assisting the nation to improve its competitiveness, to grow, to innovate, and to be as competitive as possible. And we do this through our interventions of advocacy as it relates to productivity, also policy, research and measurement, and technical assistance.
Oh, so you're housed in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security?
That is correct, we are.
Okay.
And so some of the initiatives we are currently involved in are helping to bring awareness to productivity issues to the nation, to stakeholders, and we do that through different sensitization sessions. We host workshops and webinars to help to improve technical capacity, and we help, as you rightly mentioned previously, businesses in terms of their improvement initiatives through audits and technical assistance.
How long have you been around?
Wow. Well, I've been with this center for about 12 years now, and it started in 2003.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going through a pandemic.
Yes.
Right? Tell me, you have done a study recently about the impact of COVID.
Right.
Tell us about why you did it, what were the objectives, and what are the findings?
Well, a crisis such as the pandemic will no doubt affect productivity. It will affect your output, because if we go back to the whole definition of productivity, productivity is how efficiently you translate your inputs into outputs, right? So it has to do with the whole process of conversion to your goods or services, and how efficiently or effective they are done. And when you think about your input, you're thinking about labor, you're thinking about your capital, you're thinking about your operating costs, your machinery, and all of those things are impacted by a pandemic such as COVID, right? So your supply chain is interrupted, demand is fluctuating, and so your productivity will be negatively impacted. And as a means of getting a grasp of what's happening in the space and how best we can serve the public, we did an impact study to find out how businesses were really reacting and coping with the challenges
When was this done?
This was done in June of this year.
Tell us about the findings.
Well, some of the findings, just briefly, that we found is that 81% of the organizations that we surveyed had to reduce their staff complement, and about 68% of the respondents had a decrease in revenues or sales. On the other hand, we also had about 6% who were noting an increase in revenues during this period. So we are seeing, and then the rest are in the middle. So we, and we also found that those who had slim margins, financial margins, pre-COVID were the ones that were most significantly impacted during this time period. We did a survey as it relates to how persons were adjusting in terms of their work arrangements, and 95% of organizations that were studied had to change their work arrangements. And they found that these measures were very effective, and that was about 93% found that they were still able to maintain operations, and they found it either effective or very effective. And of that amount, about 32% said that they would continue these measures even after the pandemic has passed. So persons are seeing the benefit of, changing and innovating as it relates to how work is done.
So your survey, the one you did recently, has said a lot of businesses have suffered. Many businesses have suffered, right? So from your research, what are some of the measures you'd give business people now to ensure that their business do well during this pandemic?
Right.
Because we don't know when it's going to end.
No, and some experts have said it's something we have to learn to live with. And so what we are seeing on a global scale is persons or businesses pivoting, changing how they operate.
How does one know if they're being productive enough?
As it relates to productivity, you're never there. There's always room for improvement. And what we should aim for is not settling with where we are or what we currently are doing and think that we are there, but to always push to see how can I be better tomorrow than today, and how was I better today than yesterday. And we believe that with that continuous improvement, that compounded over time, we will get those gains.
So you need to set targets and goals, and you need
Absolutely, and they need to be very specific, and it goes back to the point about measurement and how important that is. And culturally, locally, it's something that we don't spend enough time on. And so even when we go in to do an intervention with persons, there is no measurement in place to specifically target where the improvement needs to focus on. Because there will always be bottlenecks, there will always be gaps, and we need to focus on the priority ones that will give us the maximum benefit.
You spoke earlier about flexi work arrangement. You did a survey. Tell us what you found.
95% of the organizations had implementing flexi work arrangement. 95% of organizations that we surveyed had implemented flexible work arrangements in their organization, right? And also 93% said that those arrangements were either effective or very effective. We also found that there were inhibitors to transition into a flexible work arrangement, which would include, for example, the infrastructure and the policies being in place, mindset, and the costs associated with transitioning were major inhibitors to persons transitioning to, for example, a work from home or a pod system or flexible schedules. And there are multiple that are available and persons locally have been employing. So those were some of the responses.
Did you find that people were losing jobs because they're now working with the flexi work arrangement?
What we found is that overall, that 81% of organizations had to reduce their staff complement. Right, so there have been job losses, as we mentioned earlier. That if persons were on the borderline before COVID, and when it hit, it was the last straw. So some persons have not been able, unfortunately, to keep their doors open, and that would have impacted.
So COVID-19 presented some challenges to the flexi work arrangement.
Challenge, but also opportunities.
Opportunities,
because what COVID did was give us the green light, as it were, in terms of adopting what was available. And so persons have now had to embrace it to secure and safety of their staff and workers, and have seen the benefit of, for example, reduce costs, operating costs, because they're able to have persons work from home indefinitely. A number of companies have employed that, and so they have reduced square footage and able to use that to do more value-added activities within their business processes.
Okay. So now, if an organization is now having difficult productivity issues, tell us how they can reach out to you, and what can you do to help them?
Okay, so they can reach out to us at jpc@cwjamaica.com, or they can give us a call at 876-922-1598, and one of our team members would be happy to, discuss with them the opportunities and the tools that we have available.
A very good note to end on. Thank you so very much for coming to share with us today on Get the Facts. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you, as always, more pertinent and useful information. I'm Rose Campbell. Do take good care, and thank you so much for watching.